welcome back to another episode of Red Hill Racing Podcast. I'm your favorite redneck, Ben Knight, once again joined by my co-host, who is now setting at 43X. In case you missed the recent episode, he's no longer 42. Glad to have my buddy here. Welcome back, Mr. Dustin Lee.
Glad to be here. This is one of them we just now recorded with a guest type deals, and we're going to come on here and do our intro and thank our outstanding sponsors. And we got some big news we're going to give you before we get to the guest. And you guys got a good one. It's going to be over 2 hours, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And as my beautiful wife would remind me, we don't have to tease about the interview because y'all already know. We got the World Cup Pro Street champ in the house tonight, Mr. Mark Rendeluk. He's here. He's telling y'all his background, his story, his history, his extensive bar bike racing career, and how he ended up being, I don't know, probably one of the baddest pro street rookies ever.
Yeah, for sure. He, you'll get all of the info in the deal, but man, I'm just telling you, like, he done something that I don't think's ever been done in the first season of Pro Street, and he should be proud of it. It's cool. He got with the right people. He's a good rider, racer himself, and it made for a hell of a combo. It was a perfect storm.
And you know what was so cool? Like, y'all will hear it right off the rip, but Dustin will probably echo my sentiments. Like, man, Mark's not a spring chicken, and he's been racing for a long time, but the pure excitement and enthusiasm and joy that shines through in this interview, I mean, like, I'm hyped. Like,
Hell, I'm tired. He made me tired. He wore me out. He was so excited. Yeah. It was awesome.
So y'all are in for a treat. We hope you enjoy this interview as well. As always, not safe for work, especially this one. We were all excited. When we get excited, you might as well park a pirate ship out front. We are sailing on the high seas, y'all.
In the moment.
Yeah, we were in the moment for sure. So not safe for work. Sorry for maybe a little excessiveness on this one, but hey, that's us, and that's why y'all listen. As always, we got to thank, shout out to Mr. Greg Crawford and his beautiful wife. Met up with them yesterday for some parts, and man, it was hilarious. They were like, "What's the deal with the Patron drinking on the podcast?" And I burst out laughing. And I decided to, I was explaining that, like, on some of the podcast app we use, it's called Patreons, and Patron's way cooler, so that's why we call it.
Yeah.
But I got a kick out of that. So shout out to y'all, the loyal listeners, the loyal subscribers. There is a giveaway at the end of this show. Little $50 MTC from our buddy Eric at MTC Engineering. Then next week we are off. We are taking a Thanksgiving break. We hope y'all have a great Thanksgiving. The week after Thanksgiving, we will be back with our second to last big giveaway. We're going to have the frame short neck service from Kevin at Manchester Mods. We're giving that away next week. So if you want to sneak in and, you haven't been subscribing all year, you could win, I think it's like $600 value, right?
Yeah, quantity 5, baby. Better get in on that.
Yeah. And then December rolls around right after that, and December will be the Penske Shot giveaway month. So
right around Christmas sometime, we're gonna do the Big Daddy. So you best get subbed up. And so them sponsors valuable. You better get in on it.
Yep. So we got all that. So thank you to the listeners, the subscribers, the Patron drinkers. We love y'all. Keep subbing up. We got to shout out our sponsors. We got BMF Motorsports, University of Wind, Energy Coil, Knight Marketing Group, Hard Times Parts and Service, Montgomery Motorsports, Manchester Mines, Schnitz Racing, Platinum General Services, MTC Engineering, Penske Racing Shocks, MPS Racing, and Worldwide Bearings. Dude, we got some big,
huge to us. Like, I think it don't get no bigger for a podcast that's been going for a year.
Right at we're getting close to a year. We've been going probably 10 months now. Well, 10 months.
It's going to be epic.
And we have to thank y'all, like the listeners, the sponsors.
Yes.
But check this out. We have, and maybe it's not big, but to us it's big. So I'm going to let Dustin break the news because I'm so excited. I found out a little bit about something going on at the PRI show, right? So I
Man,
called my man, right? I said, Dustin, would you be in if I could work this out? And he said, hell yeah. Tell me what
yeah.
we're doing.
So Ben, discovered that a new thing at PRI this year is they're going to have some podcasting going on, and we secured a spot to have a live podcast at PRI during PRI with PRI people everywhere. And in my opinion, one of the coolest parts of it is going to be our guest. Do you want to tell them who our guest is?
Well, first off, I still got to, I'm just blown away. Like, we are going to be broadcasting live from the PRI show, the biggest trade show, in my opinion, for our little niche of racing motorsports. Like, that's where
Yeah.
we go.
Yeah, you're talking, what is it, normally like 30,000 attendance or something?
So I might be what did I tell you? It was like 40 or so. I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be like there's going to be people walking past us while we're talking to y'all. Like, we're going to do it live, so we might even use the cameras on this one. I'm sure we will.
Yeah, we're still figuring out all the logistics, but your boy Mr. 43X and myself will be there live. Trying to play the part of the big shots. Looking all fancy and professional in our new.
Man, I'm going to even wear cool shirts. Yeah.
Shirts. We're excited. And, we had a pretty good feeling he was going to lock it down, but we did secure, before he secured it, the 2023 Pro Stock Motorcycle Champion. Is going to join us Saturday morning, December 9th, PRI show, 11 a.m. Y'all come on by. We want to.
Y'all, how epic's that going to be? We're going to be live at PRI. Your favorite redneck and your hillbilly, and then the Pro Stock. I mean, like, he was number one qualifier every race except one. Like, and the champion. Like, he just killed it this year, and all of us are going to be sitting down, laughing, cutting up, and it's going to be awesome.
And we might have more people in there too, y'all. You never know who we're going to.
Yeah, I mean, I might even get my wife sitting down beside me and get her talking. Who knows what'll happen? She's going to be there with me.
Look, if y'all are going to PRI, 11 a.m. Saturday morning. We want to see y'all. We want to hear y'all. I mean, like, make a scene. That's what I'm asking. Make a scene.
Yeah. Clap, holler, laugh, whatever. Hell, bring some alcohol by.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I want.
Yeah. Darnell will be like all for that.
11 a.m. Darnell might still be around.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, we're super stoked. Like I said, shout out to y'all. We appreciate the support. I don't know. That's the last thing I would have guessed we would be at, 11 months into a podcast. Honestly, I wouldn't have thought we would have made it 11 months, but we're going to be a PRI. We're promoting it, and it's going to be awesome. So that's the big news we had. Y'all might have seen Dustin amped up last week, making some Facebook posts teasing y'all. That's
Man, I can't keep my mouth shut.
Yeah. I like it. You got to get the excitement built.
I'm the hot man. Yeah. That's what I got to do.
Exactly. Hype. Yeah. What else we got? You got anything else you need?
No, I think we got we covered our sponsors. We told you it wasn't safe for work, and then now you get to hear a whole lot about Mark Rendeluk, and I really hope you enjoy it. He's very enthusiastic and fired up about his first season in Pro Street, and then you get more details of his past. Enjoy the show. Like, I hope you enjoy it, and we'll see y'all, or y'all will hear us in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we'll be back, like we said, the week after Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody. We love y'all. We appreciate the support. We'll be back there. Probably either be another interview or a short little one, and then we'll be heading to PRI. So that's it. That's the schedule. If you haven't subscribed, you're missing out on big giveaways coming up. You might sneak in at the tail end if you were slacking. So it's up to y'all. All right, that's all I got. Anything else from you?
Bye now.
See y'all. All right, here we go with probably the most famous pro street racer right now on the world, the hottest pro street racer. We have him right here, Mr. Paint, Mark Rendeluk. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing really good, man. Still living on the high.
Good.
There's for sure not a pro street rookie racer that had a year like Mark's had. That's for sure.
Hell no. And we already got the not safe for work out of the way. So fuck no. Not a chance.
No. I mean, I've never seen someone come out in a rookie season and just be a contender all year. It's freaking amazing, you know, and it takes a talented rider and a racer, and then, of course, a damn good team and a tuner behind you to make that happen.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure, for sure. So obviously we got Mr. Paint on the show with us tonight after his amazing victory at World Cup. That's not news to anybody. But yeah, we want to maybe start a little farther back. You know, I met Mark. I don't even know when I met you, man, but it was quite a few years ago at this point. And yeah, you were, you know, running your big tire bar bike, setting records, you know, pretty much whooping most people's asses that I remember. It's funny, before we even hit record, I was like, you know, I'm sure you just got bored with it, and you chuckled and said, yeah, I kind of did. So, you know, Dustin and I have known of you and known you for a while. But yeah, I just kind of want to give the listeners a little background. So we'll leave it up to you where you want to start. If you want to go way back in the, you know, in the old memories and tell us how you even got into drag racing, or if you just want to talk bar bike, whatever you want to do. It's
dude.
Joe is brother.
When I was, I tell you what, my dad had a Harley Rapido when I was like 2 or 3.
What?
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
It's a turd Harley bike made in the 60s through the early 70s, but it's like a 125. And he took me for a ride on it, and I swear I remember the exact path he took me on. I was so excited to get on this motorcycle, and I just barely fit on the tank. I'm sitting on the tank, and he's holding me in between the tank and the bars, you know, and he takes me on this small little route around the neighborhood and comes back. And I loved motorcycles from that instant on. I was like, all I thought about was motorcycles. Loved them. And you fast forward to about 19, my dad wouldn't let me ride motorcycles.
After he put you on and gave you the bug,
after he put me on it and gave me the fever at 3 or 4 years old, he's like, yeah, you get. My buddy had a dirt bike that I went to grade school with, and it was a little 80 Honda, I think it was Honda or Suzuki, I can't remember.
Right.
But anyway, he's like, dude, let me teach you how to ride it. And I'm like, heck yeah. And my dad's like, don't you get on his bike. Don't you do anything on his bike. It's like, okay, I won't. I was probably, I don't know, 12 or 13, and his family had a lot of money. So he always had the coolest stuff. So he had this dirt bike. He's like, hey, man, get out here and just rev that throttle up and pop that clutch. And you know what happens? It's one or two things. It either dies or it goes for a wheelie. And I rode the freaking wheelie for about 20 yards, not knowing how to shut the throttle off because I was hanging onto the bike like, please don't let me crash. So I finally let off the throttle. My calf was up against the exhaust and burnt my freaking leg. I had this huge burn mark on my leg. And I ended up, the whole summer long, I wore real tall socks to cover that burn up so my dad wouldn't see it and beat my ass. It's like,
I mean, that's immediately what I was thinking. Yeah.
Oh my God, it was terrible. So my dad left when I was 18 to Desert Storm. And when he went to Desert Storm, the first thing I thought about, my buddy had a little 1980 Suzuki 750. Has stretched and had a Vance and Hines pipe on it, and at the time, I think that what's got me hooked on Vance and Hines stuff. I always thought Vance and Hines after having this bike, but I thought it was the fastest thing you could ever own. I'm hot rodding it all around town. I had it for about 3 months. I painted it this real cool Bahama blue and made it look slick. I was wanting to street race everybody that I came up to at a stoplight with it. And then my mom says, your dad's coming home. You better get rid of that bike. And I'm like, oh, shit, I still can't have a bike. So I sold that bike right before he got home, like a day before he got home. I sold that bike. And it was like, but I moved out of the house and I had my own house and I bought a little Seika tube. You remember the Seika, Yamaha Seika tube?
I do. Yeah, my dad has a salvage yard. Yeah.
That was at the time, that was kind of a cool beginner bike into the sport bike stuff. It wasn't really fast, but Byron Hines had that yellow and raspberry colored pro stock Yamaha.
Yep.
You guys remember that?
Yeah.
I painted it exactly like that. I bought some side fairings for it, aftermarket side fairings. I painted it just like that because, I mean, it was Vance and Hines all the way for me from the time that I had that 80 Suzuki all the way up till now.
So you painted it yourself back then?
Oh, yeah.
Were you already into painting?
I was painting when I was a kid, man. I loved that stuff. I was doing that stuff from the time I was probably 14 years old.
Since we're on it, you know, something I found out about you. I knew you from racing, but then I seen you on TV.
Pink?
Well, no, it was they were Street Outlaw guys was dropping off bodywork for you to paint for them. Like the front of their car, like you were doing the headlights and the grill and stuff like that, airbrushing it. And I'm like, I know that guy. Like I know Mr. Paint. You know what I mean? And it didn't even click that you were freaking from there, like Oklahoma. You know what I mean? I just always seen you at Man Cup races and stuff, you know?
Sean Ellington. We do, we airbrush all his front ends for his Novas, do all the grills and headlights and park lamps and stuff. And then
I'm a huge Murder Nova fan. So
Sean is like the coolest dude. I'm telling you, we just we've done some business together. He bought some cars from me and stuff, and he's a car collector. He's a down to earth dude that his head ain't swolled up. You know what I mean?
No, man. Yeah. Like I watch their YouTube heavy, right? And it's like real. Like there's no fake, you know, it's just raw footage really. And they always, you know, laugh and they call themselves morons. I'm like, I fucking love these guys. Like they're just hilarious, you know, the moron nation thing they always talk about. I'm like, this is like that. You know, he was at Crossville at you know, they just show up and a bunch of spectators show up. His car was actually blowed up and he was the most genuine out of all of them, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I grew up with all those guys. We all grew up street racing together. You know, I had a 69 Camaro back when I was 18 that I street raced. And, you know, those guys would come out and like Justin, that has the Crow. He would actually have to beg rides from people and borrow rides to get out there to watch the street races with us. And my 69 Camaro ran 1220s back then. And dude, that was a fast street car. If you run 1220s back then, that was a fast hot rod.
Yeah, for sure.
And those guys came out. Dave, when he came down from New York, he came out and hung out with us. And that's how we all got to know each other. And then Chuck Sightsinger had a shop 2 doors down from my shop. And of course, I knew him before that, but the shop came up available. I moved in. I'm like, holy crap, you're my neighbor. He put in a dyno, and those guys were over there all the time before the show, way before the show.
He was probably playing with Hondas then. He was a Honda guy.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. He had hair too.
Run up and down the street all day long.
Anyway, okay, I got us sidetracked on Street Outlaws. I'm
a Street Outlaw guy tonight. Yeah, you are the Street Outlaw guys. No.
I just follow their YouTubes, man. I think that's the most real content you can get. You know.
Oh, true, very true.
Yeah.
But I went from the Seika, the Seika 2 was, once I realized I raced a couple of people and I got the crap kicked out of me, man. It's like, dude, this thing's a turd. It's a cool looking bike, but it's a turd. So I don't know if this is really stepping up, but as far as power, it was stepping up. I moved up to the about 95 Yamaha YZF 650. Okay. And if you remember the road racer Jamie James, he had a blue and white one. And so we painted ours exactly like his, blue with the white little square boards going up the sides. And we put all the little decals all up and down it, trying to make it look exactly like his. Went to a bunch of car shows, raced a bunch of people with this bike. And that thing only ran, we took it out. So we started going to the track with that bike. That's when I actually started going racing Friday nights at our local Thunder Valley in Noble, Oklahoma. And that thing
So
ran 12s. It ran high 12s. Maybe I think we got like a 1260 out of it at one point in time.
Those
And
got to be the
it's like,
most noisiest motors ever on
oh
those
yeah,
bikes. God, they
oh my
make all kinds of
lord,
noises, valve
you
train
are
noises.
100% correct.
Oh, I've
It's
grown
like,
up
is
around
something
them,
wrong
man.
with this thing? No,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
just the way it sounds,
They
buddy.
look like a road race bike though from the factory. That's the way they
Hmm.
look. So I
Yeah.
get your theme with that, like making it look
Oh
because
yeah.
that's what they look like. It's
so
pretty
Mark,
cool.
what got you
So
to the
nine.
drag strip though? You said that
What's
was like
that?
kind of what got you to the drag strip though. You said that was like really the first time you went to the drag strip.
Well, with a bike,
Okay.
I was racing cars before that.
You were in the cars
I
at
had
the
that,
strip as well.
yeah, I had
Okay.
that '69 Camaro that we ran on the street
Yeah,
when
yeah,
Thunder
yeah.
Valley very first opened. We were there opening day when Thunder Valley first opened. I believe that's 1991. We were there first day racing that car, and I was really hooked with drag racing at the time. It didn't matter if it was bikes or cars. It's just
Street or
anything
track.
drag racing. Yeah, it was like street racing was one thing, but if you were at the track, it was like you were more of a pro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So it kind of give you like a walking tall feeling when you're at the racetrack and you're walking around. So, oh man, there's Mark. Man, that guy street races. Man, his car runs 1220s, man. And you're just walking around like, fuck yeah, buddy.
Man, how have we come full circle, man?
Oh
That
my
used to be the thing to
God.
go to the track, and now it's like, I'm not saying it's promoting or it's not, but I mean, like, you gotta say that, with Street Outlaws, like that's kind of a not really track promoting thing. So it's
Yeah,
wild to come that full
exactly.
circle that was like kind of a status sign right back then to be
Oh
racing
yeah.
track.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And to turn it around to now today where it's like, man, the 1,000 people drag race, but you street race and you beat these guys, man, you are the top
Yeah.
dog.
And I don't know, aside from the street outlaw stuff, I'll tell you one thing that's like I've noticed lately, Mark, and I don't know if you've paid attention to it. Man, I feel like the street racing for bikes has been like wildly out of control the last 2 to 3 years. And
Man, it is. It's
I don't
really
know if it's just because I'm seeing more and more people doing the YouTube videos and even Chris Morgan into it a little bit, but like
Yeah.
wow, like that is like hell. Like I'm just baffled how you can like go down and street race down in quote unquote Mexico, right? And
Yeah.
film it and just the cops not be there. It's just wild to me.
well, I'll tell you right now, I get guys want me to tune clutches like that ride that we race the street. And I'm like, well, how are we going to do this? And the guy's like, oh, it hooks. This one guy's like, he kept saying, I'm going to go to the spot. I'm going to go to the pad. And I'm like, what is he talking about? Well, it's the pad that Kai Kelly goes to. And homeboy was Willie, and when it was like a racetrack prep, basically.
Holy cow.
I was like, oh shit! Like I was trying to
Calm it
not
down.
tune. Yeah, I was trying to make it not Willie, and it was the total opposite of what I thought it was going to be. And it's just because this street stuff's getting crazy. Like
Yeah.
it's
Well, the bike guys, I mean,
You
like I've
come
seen them
out if
racing for
you
a
were
ton
ever
of
to
money.
come to if you were to ever to come to Oklahoma City and come to my shop is the starting line for a lot of races, and a lot of them are the real guys. And
yeah.
I'm serious. If you walk out there on Sunday morning, like I got to go pick up trash and Sunday morning. Sometimes it gets a little crazy. They'll have 100, 200 people there.
Yeah.
And Saturday morning, they try to pick everything up, but still Sunday morning I come in and it's like, if you walk out there, it's like XDA prep, buddy.
Yeah, just tearing your shoes off.
That's
Yeah.
And it's craps everywhere. And it's like, how can a cop not drive down the street and
right.
see these big old tire black marks going 100 feet down the,
Man, that's homeboy. They pay him off to patrol that shit. Like, hey, just stay out of our neck of the woods tonight. You know what I'm saying?
It is so, I mean, I know all the guys. So it is unbelievable how connected everybody is. And it's like, okay, tonight it's going to happen. Okay, well, we'll have some other stuff busy on the other part of the south side of the Oklahoma City today. It's
Wow.
the connections are there for them to be able to do what they want to do when they want to do it, and
Okay.
It's unbelievable how organized it is.
Well, that makes
It's
more sense than to me.
super organized. And it's like, you think these guys be like, dude, how do you do this and get away with it? And
Yeah.
you've got a TV show and you got all this stuff. And
I mean, the TV stuff I get, right? That's like the cops know that they're doing it that night. They set up an area. And I think that's kind of why they moved out to like Nevada and stuff, right? In California, to just where it's more level ground and it's not much traffic. But either way, it's crazy to, the first time, but you're affiliated. You've been around them guys forever and everybody knows them. You know what I mean? So it's pretty cool. And they're good for the sport, man. They get people at racetracks, and that's what we need.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything that at least brings some awareness to it.
They fire them up, it's the whole thing.
Yeah. The No Prep Kings thing. Yeah, the No Preps King thing is just filling tracks up every time they go, and I think that's just great because these racetracks need that. So I'm all for it.
They dang sure do.
Yeah, for sure. So you got into that, and then what happened next?
Okay, so I had to keep going faster, and so the 650 wasn't enough. In '97, Yamaha made the YZF Thunder Ace. You remember the Thunder Ace?
Yes, I do.
1-year production bike.
Yep.
It was basically the design of the R1. So they made the R1 a ton lighter, but it had the 1000 motor. It was the first bike I ever got into the 10s with. We were the first pass was like a 1090. And then by the time I got finished, messing around with it, I think we were running 1050s. And then the 99 Busa came out. And it was like, gotta have this bike. It's the baddest bike, it's the coolest thing. And each dealer at that time was 2 per dealership.
Oh, wow.
In '99, when they released that model, it was 2 per dealership. So what I did was I put they were all our dealership done. So we couldn't do anything in Oklahoma. So Kansas, I found a couple dealerships, put $500 down there for theirs to be on their list. And then it was state after state. It was Arizona, it was freaking Arkansas, and Texas. Plano, Texas was the first one to call me, and they said, we've got one for you. And you have to be here by 5 p.m. close of business on Saturday, or we give it to the next guy in line. And I was like, holy crap. So I hauled ass to Plano, Texas, got there, and there was a guy sitting there waiting to get it. And when I pulled up, I was trading in my Thunder Ace on it. And he saw that bike come in, and you saw his head drop, man. He was like,
like waiting.
There went my damn motorcycle.
And it was custom painted. It had this broken checker design that looked wicked cool on it. And that guy was like, damn, man, I was hoping you weren't going to show up because I'm the next guy to get that Busa. So I get home with this thing that night, and I call my best friend Larry, who I went to high school with, and we rode bikes together. He had a little ZX14 or ZX12, had ZX12 at the time. And I'm like, dude, I got a Busa. Come over and check it out. So he pulls up. It's like 11 o'clock at night or some shit. I can't remember. It was late at night. And I've got my garage open, and he's walking around, and he's like, yeah, it's pretty cool. And I go, dude, we got to go ride. He goes, hell yeah. So we get out the driveway and pull down the driveway, and I look over, and this son of a bitch is on a 99 Busa. I'm like, what did you get that thing? He's like, dude, he goes, I couldn't wait to tell you, but he goes, it's so cool that I didn't tell you. You didn't even know I had it. So we were breaking in our Busas that night. We're trying to find 500 miles worth of road to go on before we could get on it, man.
Oh, that's the big, like a man had his chest pumped out like, I got the Busa. Fuck yeah. Then homeboy pulls up, he got one too.
But that's a cool story.
Let me kick you in the nuts, buddy.
Yeah.
If he hadn't done it like that, you wouldn't even hardly remembered, though.
No, that's epic. That made a hell of a memory for sure.
Oh, yeah, it was good, man. We rode the crap out of it, and I would go Friday nights to the track, and we'd run 1020s, 1010 with that thing. And all we really did was a power commander. I think at that time, the options for that were very minimal. I did a pipe kit on it, and I can't remember the pipe kit we did on it, and we did a power commander, And there was like 4 tunes for the Power Commander for that thing that first year. There wasn't a lot of options. So I wasn't smart enough to do any kind of tuning on it. And we raced the crap out of it at the racetrack. And I met a racer there that said and I'll leave the name unmentioned, but
Okay.
I met him there. He said, "Man, if you ever want to go fast, you call me." He goes, and he gave me his name, and I was like, "Oh, okay." But half his stuff was breaking. Every time we go down the track, it'd break. And it's like, this dude's like the baddest guy out here. I'm like, well, how come the shit don't go down the end of the track? It's like, how can he be the baddest guy when the shit don't go down the end of the track? So I had a boat, and this is about 2000. This is 2000. I had a boat, and a guy, I was on dragbike.com surfing around looking, or it was Dragbike Classifieds, I think is what they called it at the time, surfing around. I wanted a big tire bike. I just wanted a big tire bike. 10s weren't enough for me. I wanted to go 8s. I wanted to be, more professional than what I was. And at that time, IDBA was in town doing their drag race stuff in Missouri and Noble, Oklahoma. And IDBL was like, if you were in IDBL and you were like hauling ass, you were like a top dog. And they brought a lot of people back then. Back in the day, motorcycles brought a ton of people. I don't know where that chain broke, but I wish we could find a way to repair it. But anyway,
we would all be very happy with that.
I found a super comp bike that this guy's like, it was a Kawasaki, and he's like, it's in million boxes. And I was like, he wanted, I don't know, $5,000 or something for it. It was a frame and a motor in like 4. It was really 4 boxes. And I was like, dude, will you take a boat for it? And he goes, well, send me a picture of your boat. Well, my boat's custom painted. I'm a painter, so my boat's badass. It's a piece of crap, but boy, it looks badass.
You
so
polished
he's like,
a turd.
Yeah, he's like, if you drive up, it was in Grinnell, Iowa. He said, if you drive up to Grinnell, Iowa, I'll do the deal. So me and my buddy drove up there to Grinnell, Iowa, got out, and it was colder than hell when I got that bike, and I couldn't get the boat to start. It was so cold, the boat wouldn't start. And the guy, he was like, you know what? I don't care, man. This paint job's so badass. I'll figure a way to make it start. Here, take all these boxes in this frame. So I get it, and I'm trying to remember this guy's name at the racetrack, and he told me the location of his shop, and I was driving around trying to find this guy's shop, and I couldn't find it. I was like, man, I know it. He said it was here. And I drive past a sign that says Motorcycles Unlimited. And I said, oh, this is it. So I pull in there, and Big Carl was behind the table. And I don't know if you guys know Big Carl, but Big Carl felt was like Ron Webb rode Top Fuel motorcycle, and Ron Webb was basically the rider of Big Carl's Motorcycles Unlimited shop, and he was a public figure in motorcycle racing back in the 70s and 80s, just huge. And Sam Wells actually worked building chassis for Motorcycles Unlimited before Sam opened his shop. Yeah. So I walk in there and I mentioned this guy's name. I said, man, I was looking for this guy. And he goes, you don't want that guy. He goes, you want your bike to run? And I go, yeah. And he goes, then leave everything here. So I take 4 boxes of crap, throw it all down on the table, and unload this chassis. And he says, well, I'll give you a call. Well, my shop was I just opened my shop. This was 2000. I just opened my shop, and it was only like a mile and a half away from Motorcycles Unlimited. So when I would take lunch, I would just drive over there because I fucking love motorcycles. And the Top Fuel bike sitting in the back. The coolest thing is sitting in the back. And it's like, I want to go look at it and check this thing out. So Big Carl was like, You come by anytime you want. You're more than welcome to, hang out with us, have lunch. We sit up here after hours. We drink beer. We tell stories. We have fun. And we became a really close knit family. I mean, his kids were my friends, and we were all very close. And he taught me so much about drag racing. And Kenny Ainsley was a rider of Orange Crush, which was one of his top fuel motorcycles. It was a Kawasaki.
I remember it. I got a lot of home videos from back in the day of them bikes.
So Kenny Ainsley was going to the races with me and teaching me how to ride. And so I got so much information from all these top guys that it really gave me a big boost. And I had this head like, dude, I'm running a Hayabusa. I'm running 140 something miles an hour in a quarter mile. Are you kidding me? This bike only runs 145 and I can handle this. This ain't no big deal. So we had this guy named Monty Averett, and he raced out of Motorcycles Unlimited, and his nickname was Shaky. He had the shakes really bad. This dude eat a piece of chicken, and every freaking piece of chicken would be on the table, and about a third of it in his mouth. He looked so damn bad.
That does not
But he'd
sound
hang
like
out
somebody
up there
should
at
be
Motorcycles
riding.
Unlimited, and he was telling me, he goes, it's way harder than you think it is. I'm like, So we go out to the racetrack. Bike's done. At that point in time, it cost me $4,000 to rebuild that whole bike, and that was a lot of money for me. I was young, but I wanted to do it. I loved it, and I didn't care what it cost. I just wanted to be able to do it. Everything's brand new, perfect. CJ, which is Carl Jr., Big Carl's son, I said, I want you to make a pass on it first. Just make sure everything's right. He said, okay. We're out there in Ron Webb's trailer, Ron Webb's Top Fuel trailer. We're like it's Friday or Saturday. My cousin Richard showed up. We got all these people that showed up to see me race out of this big Top Fuel trailer, right? And CJ makes a lap. It runs like 9:20. And CJ says, it's all good. You ready to go? I go, hell yeah, I am. So I suit all up and I get on the bike and I do the burnout. And it was kind of like I had it in between two gears. When I went and popped the clutch, it made that big old clunk. And then it started spinning the tire. And I was like, I don't know if I just messed something up or not. So we get out there. I put it on the two-step. I throw the clutch. And I turn into this bucking Bronco dude. They nicknamed me Bucky. They nicknamed me Bucky for like a month. They were making fun of me. I bucked off of that sucker. I was holding on. The only thing I was holding on to was throttle. My left hand was going up like I was riding a Bronco.
Wow.
Going back. Somebody filmed it, and I have that film somewhere, and it's the most embarrassing thing ever because all these people, I have this huge confidence, I have this confidence that nobody would be able to run as good as me on this big tire bike. So we tore up the transmission that pass, bucking it.
Well, don't let that bother you because our last guest on here, we didn't mention it, but there's a video of him on a Pro Stock bike doing the same thing.
Oh,
have you ever seen that, Ben?
Who that is?
Yeah,
who that is.
I think I.
We can say who it is. We can. I mean, I don't. Yeah, Malcolm. Yeah. There's a video when he first rode a Pro Stock style bar bike of him doing a dry hop, and he damn near come off of it.
I don't know if I have then.
Really? I wanted to mention it when we had him on here, and I forgot.
Well,
I don't know if you guys have seen the decals that I made with Jason Dunnigan and I called Cocaine and Waffles.
No, but I want to see them.
Yeah,
that's a header of this video.
It's Jason and I with these two big old, we look like we're radio stars or something. We're sitting there with these big old stupid looks on our face. And then I put Cocaine and Waffles on the bottom of it because he said, we go together just like cocaine and waffles. So Malcolm stuck this sticker on the back of his helmet and was racing NHRA with that sticker on the back of his helmet. And I'm like, did they not say anything to you? He said, nope, I'm representing you guys here at NHRA, and nobody said nothing.
Oh, man.
So that was pretty cool. But anyway, that turned into my big tire deal. Monty Averett, the Shaky, his nickname, he had a drive shaft company, and the drive shaft company was set on the side of a go-kart track. And he said, anytime you want to come out here, you suit all up just like you're at the racetrack. And he said, you learn how to launch that bike here at my racetrack or at my little go-kart track before you go back to the racetrack. You're going to represent Motorcycles Unlimited. You're going to go out there and do a good job. So I did, man. I went straight over there. CJ and I brought the rig over there. We unloaded the bike, and I did about 3 laps. And he's like, now don't get it into second gear. Just get up there, get through first gear, and shut it off. It was a J model transmission in that thing. Wasn't a full auto or nothing. So we weren't hurting it by shutting it off. And the third pass, man, I drove that sucker into third gear. And Monty was like, okay, stop. You're ready for the racetrack now. No more passes out here. It's like you're not gonna be able to make that turn when you get up there in third gear. So we went back to the track, and I got on it, and the next pass was like a 899, and then it was the next thing I know, I was racing. IDBL faded away, and PMRA started, and we started racing PMRA. And dude, it took me a long time to win a race. A long time. I went out a lot of rounds early, just so much inexperience, but it taught me so much racing with these guys that have been racing for such a long time. Jeff, Jeff raced Super Comp with us. He races PDRA now, and he raced Super Comp with us back in the day. And it was like one of those things where he would win one race, I would win one race, and we were going back and forth at each other. And those guys were the guys that were the cream of the crop. They were the top dogs, and I was winning against them in some rounds, and it gave me a lot more confidence to go out there. And it was I think it was 2007 before I won my first race. And I raced every year, every event, 5 events a year. And it was 2007 before I won my first event. And it was like a door opened. When you won your first event,
oh, yeah.
How many times we talked about that, Ben?
This floodgate opened, and I don't know if it is like
it's a confidence thing.
It's a confidence thing. It's like everything. You guys will know exactly what I'm talking about. When you go down the track, it's slow motion. Yep. To everybody else, it's 8 seconds or 7 or 6 seconds. But to me, time slows down.
Yeah.
More things I'm able to focus on. You can think of 3 million things in that 6 seconds, but I could focus and see what I needed to do, where I needed to place my tire, when I needed to look over at the person. This door opened up, and it was like, dude, you got it now. And it was like, all of a sudden, it's like win. And holy crap, it was like, next thing you know, it's like, hey, man, I beat everybody I wanted to beat in Super Comp. I've won 3 championships. We need to step it up. We need to go up to Top Gas and start beating these guys. Right. So we moved up to Top Gas. I went up to, damn near the Great Lakes. I can't remember. His guy's name was, we're still friends on Facebook. Guy's name was Brian, and he had a Top Gas bike for sale. I brought it back. Big Carl had passed away, and he had told me that if I wanted to do some drag racing still after he passed away, that I need to go see Phil Matthews because he was a good friend of his, and he'd take good care of me. Well, when I went over to Phil Matthews' shop, I met Chris Wedman. Okay. Chris Wedman and Phil Matthews had shared a shop together. So we developed a friendship through that. Phil was retiring, and Chris was basically taking over the motorcycle shop. And it was like, dude, our kids went to the same school together, Chris and I, and it was like, I don't even know how to explain it. It was just like an automatic friendship. So when I bought this
Top
Gas
sometimes
bike,
when you click with people,
And we love the same thing, man. He was a motorcycle fanatic, and so was I. I couldn't work on some bitches to save my fucking life, but he was really good at what he did. And he was like, anytime you need something, man, just holler at me. So when I bought this Top Gas bike, I called him and I said, hey, man, you want to build a Top Gas bike? And he goes, I'll build whatever you bring me. And I said, all right, I'm going up to get it. So I drove up there, brought it back, and it was another one of those bike in boxes deal. It was a frame, it was an Athanas chassis, and it was a bunch of boxes. And I brought it to him, and he put it together. It took him quite some time, and we went out and ran some 840s and 850s with it, trying to figure stuff out. It was a huge learning experience for both of us. So neither one of us had any kind of bikes that were that fast. So we were trying to figure out nitrous. We were trying to figure out timing. We were trying to figure out everything and put it together. And within 3 months, we figured it out. And I went to my first race, which was down in Dallas. Shane Epperjesse had put on a Dallas raceway or Crandall Raceway race, and they were running Top Gas, but it was 8th mile deal. And I was like, well, okay, whatever. I just want to race. Well, we went out there, our very first race with that brand new bike. I figured it out within like the second lap, and we were 520 at that time was the dial in for 8 miles. So we were wow. I had ran 520 like my second pass on it, and I go, dude, I got it figured out. And I had ramped the nitrous in super slow. So we had some killer mile an hour on everybody, ramping it in super slow.
Right.
Man, we were coming up on people. They were out on us, by the 60 foot, and then they're looking back. And by the time they look back, I'm already passing them. So we made it to the finals, our very first event. And I went 5:19 with a 9. And I was sick to my stomach. And I looked at Chris and I go, fuck this bracket racing shit. This is done. We're racing the fastest some bitch gets to the damn stripe. On out.
It's definitely easier.
so it was a whole change in world and everything. And we went out that next weekend. It was towards the end of the year. And we went out that next weekend, went out to Thunder Valley, and I ran my first 790. We went 790 with that bike.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, dude, man, this bike is getting turned into a pro open bike. And PMRA had a really cool pro open program that a lot of guys were going pretty quick. There was I don't know if you've ever heard of Glenn Nickelberry before, but he was a alcohol turbo funny bike guy. And they were running, 670s back then, and they were dominating. And I was like, that's what I want to be. That's the guy I want to be. I want to be one of the big guys that everybody wants to come over the trailer and see. And I want to be one of the fastest guys out there. Well, man, let me tell you what, we tore up so much crap. We tore up transmissions. I still got piles of pistons. I give them away to kids at races. I still got pistons that I can't give away.
Sound like Spencer Claycomb.
I was going to say.
So much broken crap. It's ridiculous. But we learned on our own trying to figure that out. And then I was introduced to Walt Timblin. And Walt and I became friends, and I had Walt build me a chassis. And we were running 709 with that Athanas chassis. It was heavy. It was short. It just wasn't a good combination. Walt said, let me build you a chassis. Took me about almost a year to get a chassis from Walt. I go pick it up, come back, and it's like, we've got an event coming up. And he's like, you want to go to it? I go, hell yeah. And he goes, okay, we're going to go. So Chris worked his ass off, wiring it, getting everything done. We took that motor out of that Athanas, put it in that bike. We go to our very first event, which is a throwdown in T-Town, and this super, super cool event. Huge, huge crowd, and it's a great track. And Walt says, take power out of it. I'm just telling you right now, take power out of it. We were running high 440s, like 447, 449 around then. We went a 435 our first pass on it, taking power out. That's how huge a difference a chassis makes.
Yeah.
You get a chassis builder that builds it right and sets it up right, and then he's like, pull more power out. So we pulled more power out. We went 421, won the event, and all we were doing was pulling more power out. So Walt opened us up to a new tuning world. And we actually stopped tearing a lot of stuff up and started figuring things out. And Walt helped us with that huge. And that was the beginning of our silver bike and the skeleton outfit and all that. And then we started saying, okay, well, man, I don't want to do PMRA anymore. Let's do Man Cup, because Man Cup was huge and growing and always, end of the year, 700 something bike count, big event. And they had the run for the quarter mile deal for the pro mods. So like Eric McKinney came out, all the big names came out that ran 8 mile pro mod, and they're going to open them up for the quarter mile.
I remember
Dan Wagner talked me into running that event. And I'm like, man, we didn't really know what we were doing, but I'd go ahead and try it. We'd been 670 is the fastest we've been, and those guys are running 660, shutting off the throttle after an 8 mile pass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to be involved and do something that brought me into that group of not only those guys are entertaining to me because of how fast they go. And if you've ever talked to a lot of those guys, especially like Eric McKinney, Scott McKinney, those guys are down to earth guys that will speak to you, answer questions for you. And like Ashley Owens, all them guys were just so cool and just gave me advice and not tuning, but riding advice that really improved my program without any hesitation. Not like, oh man, we don't want to see this guy come out here and, be faster than us or not. They were super cool. And I looked up to those guys huge. And we went out first round against Ronnie Procopio. A lot of people got beat by Ronnie Procopio.
He's still kicking people's ass.
It was funny because he said he was so used to 8 mile racing. We take off together, and he shuts off 8th mile, and I'm still going, and I'm like, oh, I just beat him, and then all of a sudden we get to the end of the track. I went a 680, and he went like a 660 something. And we get to the end of the track. He goes, dude, I forgot it was he forgot it was quarter mile. I thought it was 8th mile. And I was like, yeah, man, make me feel a little worse, Ronnie. I appreciate that.
I can see him now just laughing and like, I let out. I thought it was 8th. It's still going
around. Got in it. Still whooped his ass.
Yeah, sorry, man.
But it was a whole new world from then on. I wanted to race PDRA. At that point in time, it was ADRL. It was right before PDRA started. It was ADRL, and there was no weight limits, and there was a lot of things up. But I was so heavy, and I saw that. And Walt was real specific about how much weight plays into this, fast stuff. And by God, we figured it out, real quick that I was about 35 pounds heavier than all the other riders. And you could be good on the tree and you could be a good rider, but 35 pounds is a lot of time down the track, dragging down the track. So we weren't able to really compete with the 8th mile guys. We were going and running PDRA events, but it still wasn't, we were lucky if we made it past first round, and it was all a weight thing. So the Pro Open thing was just one of those things where, well, it's a class I can run. I enjoy quarter mile way more than I do 8th mile.
Yeah, a lot of people that didn't fit in other classes would go to Pro Open. That's kind of what a lot of people did, which was great because it gives people to race, like just to race, But you did well, though. You won stuff, right? Championships.
15 championships, man. We did really well. And that's where I met DME. We raced Man Cup. We raced Joey Gladstone.
Yeah.
We were the #1 qualifier that weekend. Come out of nowhere, 2013. Yeah, 2013. Tink's out there. We #1 qualified. Tim Haley, who I thought was a really awesome reporter at the time. He actually said, "Great job on the #1 qualifier," and I thought, man, that guy, he knows who I am. Holy shit, that's cool. It's like badass. I was like, I wish he didn't know who I was. But anyway, it's another story, another time.
Yes, I was going to say, it sounds like it.
So when we raced Chink Tink in the finals. That was like huge. I mean, huge. It was turbo versus nitrous, no bar versus bar. And we went out. We went up like a 4:12. I think we went a 4:12 eighth mile. We were so far ahead of Joey. And then all of a sudden, I'm looking at the finish line. I could see the finish line.
You could taste it.
And it goes. He went by me at 220 something miles an hour, and I could feel the vacuum pulling me forward. I probably wouldn't have ran a low 650 that round if it wasn't for his vacuum and pulling me the last 20 feet. You know, he put it to me. But that's how I got introduced to DME.
Yeah,
and those guys were super cool. I mean,
man, I love them.
They were just, man, I don't even know how to explain it. There's a lot of people I've met in drag racing, and none of them have been cooler than the DME group. Joey, Andy, DME, all them guys were super cool. Didn't mind talking to me. They didn't mind rubbing it in that I just got beat by a no bar bike. But it was a friendship meant to be.
Yeah.
And from that point forward, you know, I had raced. Do you remember the Nopi races, the little import races?
Yeah.
They had the Nopi races.
Ben knows them well because he probably used to work at Bristol when they had them.
So Chuck Sightsinger ran that series, and they had a motorcycle series that Bill Hahn Jr. put on called the Quick 8, and we would run that event, and this is like early 2000, maybe 2002, maybe 2003, somewhere around there. And when they put on that event, Chuck was.
Oh, you there?
Did we lose him?
Well, I got you, so yeah, I guess we did lose him. Can you hear us? Uh-oh.
Was like, dude, you know, free ride out there to the
technical difficulties. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, we lost you for a second.
I was like, did we lose you? I didn't hear nothing. And then all of a sudden, Dustin was like, did we lose him? I was like, well, I got you, so I guess it's on us.
Yeah, I could hear you guys the whole time, but I didn't know you could hear me.
No, so, you're back. You're good.
The Nopi races, I have ride out there with Chuck Sightsinger. He's like, dude, come with me. Any of these motorcycle races you can come to for free. So all I had to do was drive his rig a little bit and basically cook some breakfast in the morning for him. And that was my whole fee for the whole weekend to go on there.
Nice.
About a hell of a deal.
Yeah.
But the Quick 8 thing that the Nopi had was stupid because nobody paid attention to the rules. The rules were you had to run on qualifying on race day, you had to run 4/10 quicker than your quickest pass in qualifying.
Wow.
That was a Bill Hahn Jr. thing. Nobody paid attention to it. So it was the most easiest series to win in my entire life because everybody go out there and run their bike out the back door. I would find the 1,000-foot cone, and as soon as I see it, I'd shut the bike off.
Yeah.
And I'd run 920s all day long. Then I'd dial in a 890. We whooped everybody's ass. We walked away with the championship out of the Nopi series with it, which was super cool. But I saw the Pro Street bikes one time in St. Louis, my very first time ever seeing a Pro Street bike in person. It was Barry Henson, Kent Stotts. I mean, we're talking about some super fast guys back then.
Yeah, the golden years.
We're like, hey, let's go to the end of the track and watch them run 190 miles an hour. And they weren't even in the 200 yet, but they were just barely breaking 190. And we're sitting there like watching Kent go down the track, and his leathers were peeling off his back. I mean, they were stretched out like 3 foot. It's like, that's the coolest thing. Dude, I swear to God, I'm going to do that someday. I'm going to do that.
Well, you answered my question. I was trying to figure out when we put all the pieces together, but yeah, there you go.
When we went into when I got into my cancer crap, we realized that the bike deal, we probably weren't going to be able to race the bike too much. They were canceling the Pro Open stuff everywhere. You know, where were we going to race at? What were we going to do? It's better off just to sell the bike. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get on another bike again. And we sold everything. And I told myself during this 2-year downtime that if I can get better, I'm going to get on a bike, but it's going to be a Pro Street. That was my dream,
Wow.
being a Pro Street bike. And I was watching Jason Dunnigan, who I'm the dude is bigger than I am, and he's running so fast. I'm like, dude, it's a big guy on a bike running this quick. I can do that too. You know, I'm a big guy too.
Yeah.
So as things improved with my health, I told Chris, I said, man, I want to race Pro Street, man. I want to race Pro Street, and I want to race with DME. And it was like this gate opened up of opportunity all in the same week. I talked to Jason Dunnigan, and I talked to Demi, and Demi's like, man, it's going to take me 1.5 years to build a bike. You know, if we build a bike, and I don't know what you could do. And, you know, Chris Connolly Sr. was my friend. So he had Jeremy Teasley's bike and American Express and all this stuff that he wasn't really racing at the time. And I called him up and I'm like, hey, man, do you still have a Pro Street bike for sale? I thought Junior's bike was still for sale. He said, no, it's gone. I was like, oh, I was crushed, dude. I was so crushed. And I was like, how am I going to wait another year?
And plus, he sold them bikes cheap too. Yep.
Yeah. So he calls me back and he's like, dude, I still got Teasley's old bike. If you want it, he goes, a bunch of grudge guys want it. He goes, I'll sell it to you, you know, for pennies on the dollar for the bike and the spare motor. So before I agreed, I was like, I instantly agreed to it. I was like, where do you want me to send the money? I mean, you want me to drive up there and give you cash? I mean, whatever you want to do, I'll do it. It's like, I'm ready. So then it's like, oh, open mouth, insert foot. You still haven't okayed it with Demi, Jason, Andy, none of those guys. You're already in this deep and you ain't even okayed it with them. So I called Demi up, and he didn't answer the phone. So I texted him, and he didn't answer me back. And I was like, Demi's busy all the time, so he usually doesn't call people back right away.
Yeah,
and it was eating me up inside. I'm seeing this huge door of opportunity open up.
Yeah, you're done thinking of a paint job.
I'm seeing it close in front of my eyes, and I'm like, oh, Demi's got to call me back. I'm messaging Andy. I'm messaging Demi. Neither one of them sumbitches are answering me back. I'm like, guys, you're killing me. I called Jason Dunnigan. Jason Dunnigan answers. I was like, dude, here's this opportunity. Here's this deal. I want to do this. This is what I wanted to do forever. What do you think? And he goes, I'll call Demi. So he called Demi. Demi called me that night. We had like a 2-hour conversation about everything. And you know, he was straight up front. He's like, dude, it's gonna be expensive. And you're not gonna get out there and do what you think you're gonna do. You think you're gonna go out there and run this, and you're not gonna do it.
Boy, was he wrong.
He actually admitted that to me at World Cup. He said, man, I swear to God, I never thought you'd be where you're at today.
Yeah, well, honestly, you can't. It's smart. It's smart as a business too, not to call shots like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't tell someone, "Hey, you're going to go out here and go 650s," and then you go 680s all year. You know what I'm saying? So that's just a safe thing to do, I guess.
And you know, when we started building the bike, it was just my wife and I drove out there and met with him and talked to him, sat on Jason's bike and kind of just tried to talk about setup and what I wanted and how I wanted it. And basically I said, guys, man, you build a duplicate of Jason's bike for me. It fits me perfect. Everything's just right on the money. And I mean, basically they're duplicate bikes. And
it's perfect because y'all are both tall and it works out good that way.
It does. It was amazing and I set goals before this bike was even built. I told Andy, I said, dude, if I ain't running 650s, my fifth pass, I'm gonna be highly disappointed.
Dang.
He's like, whatever. He's like, he ain't, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, this dude needs to take a chill pill.
So
Poor
so
Andy,
I
that's
set all
why
these
he's
goals
bald.
up. I set all these crazy high goals up that it's like, dude, I'm gonna win a race my first year. I'm gonna run 650s my first race, which I did not do. I did that my second race. My first race, Demi said that 660s was all that bike was going to be allowed to have. You weren't going to go any quicker than 660s. And, our very first pass, I mean, a lot of people didn't know this, but our very first pass, we had an electrical gremlin. It was a crank trigger issue. And we went to the leave, and the bikes did the Bucky thing. And I was like, ah. And it took the shift fork and pushed it backwards through the cases. So my very first pass, I tore up the transmission and broke the cases. So
they're like, man,
and they're both like, oh shit.
Yeah, they're like, this fucking guy came here telling us all
my
this
wallet.
shit,
My wallet was like, oh shit.
Yeah, them racetrack repairs ain't cheap.
Yeah, my second motor got put in it, and it's like I haven't even made a lap. I haven't even made it 60 foot down the track.
Yeah.
We're on the second motor. So you guys, I'm sure you saw it. I didn't know what the bike was going to do. I had no idea how it was going to react, how my body was going to react, what it was going to do. So I was this stone cold figure that was totally erect in this stand up position, feet down deal. And we went 690 at 214 miles an hour our first pull down the track.
Yeah. The bike did it, and you were just along for the ride.
I was just hanging on, buddy. Just hanging on. And I had this grin ear to ear, and Jason was like, I'm going to be the first motherfucker to come pick you up because I want to see the expression on your face when you make that first pass. And I couldn't wait to get up there and make another one. And, we're running 660s the first event, which in my mind was pretty impressive. And it made us into like the top 25 on the GOAT list, which was another thing that I wanted to do. I wanted to be in the top 10 of the GOAT list before the end of the year.
Man.
And I set these high goals, and it was like
Brandy
was saying I was crazy. She's like, you're crazy.
I mean, I'm sitting here thinking you're crazy. Yeah.
And it's like, it's when you focus and determine the outcome of what you want, and you do what they tell you to do to make it happen.
I'm a big goal guy. Like I fully believe to set them where it's almost out of reach, but you were setting them some bitches like way out there. You know what I mean? Like, man, like
every event this year, we set a personal best. Every event, even the finals, going into the finals, we set, we went 639. It was just like, we were 660s, 650s, 640s. The third event, we went 640s.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, we went to dig this, out of 6 races, we went to 3 finals and 3 semifinals out of 6 races our first year.
That nobody's ever done that. That's what I was saying. We got on here just talking. Like, it's like amazing that first year ever to go out there and have a year like that.
Yeah, and I mean, dude, to have Chris Wedman in my corner, dude, he's my best friend, and he knows motorcycles inside and out, and he is the guy that can talk sense into me.
You gotta have one of those
that can level you when you need to be leveled. When you're thinking the wrong way, this guy can make me think right. He is my rock, dude. I gotta race with Chris. That's my life with Chris. It just makes racing that much better to be with him. And then to have Andy and Demi on top of that, their knowledge, their experience behind all that.
Thinking about it, a big perk was you were kind of the same size and stature of Jason too. So that helped them.
Yeah.
Like the tunes from Jason's bike would probably work right in your bike to get you going. You know what I mean? Like it was a perfect storm.
That's what I was going to say when you were talking about the fitment and everything. I was like, man, like that,
they're close.
That's well, it's one of those team things where like you can share so much info and data.
Yeah.
Now you got two similar riders in bike setups.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you got this crazy thing of like me on a bar bike. I was getting down to 175 during race season. I would race between 175 and 177 pounds. My normal 185, 187, right around there, right? Demi told me if you're going to race Pro Street, you have to be 205 pounds. You can't be 204. You can't be, 200. You got to be 205 because this is where our class gives us, the 75-inch wheelbase, the full auto transmission.
So basically, when Boo Brown bought cake over, you eat it.
Oh, damn straight, dude. I'm still eating ice cream. I'm eating ice cream every night to be able to say I had to gain, 20 freaking pounds to be able to race this class.
Yeah.
And my wife's like, you fat. But I'm racing, baby. I'm racing,
right.
Yeah.
Man, I know what you mean.
It's crazy to gain weight to race.
Right. No, I know exactly what you mean. Because we're a lot of times, you're always thinking that, well, just about anything like lose weight, whether it's, racing, running, blah, 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 this and that. But like I dealt a little bit with the same thing last year because Ralphie asked me to ride his bike a couple times. And like at the time, I was like, oh my goodness, I looked at the charts and everything. And I was like, all right, well, definitely don't slack up on eating and drinking beer. So like pizza and beer was it, man. I was on that thing. And it was still a struggle to gain some weight. And then it's funny, everybody this year, or as of recent, was like, did you lose some weight? I was like, yeah, I didn't have to, drink beer and eat pizza every day. Like it's hard, So, yeah, that's something else.
I've never had that problem, guys. Hey, lose like 80 pounds.
Oh my goodness. Man.
If I could lose 80 pounds, look out, Mark. I'll be in Pro Street too.
I'll tell you what, man, I'd be scared to death of you in Pro Street. That's for damn sure.
I have faith that you could do it if you wanted to. Just you know what?
Oh, yeah.
Let's touch on that again. Mark said something that's like, I would say, well, let me put it like this. Sorry, I'm stumbling on my words. Okay, everybody, y'all bear with me. I haven't been drinking yet or anything else. So, but look, we always try and have a good time and have fun on the show, but we also try and take, little tidbits from it. And, a lot of the times Dustin and I hit on, make sure you're supporting your local tracks and, supporting the sport and, making sure you're doing your part. But what you just said was like, I mean, that's really a life lesson. You set your mind, you set your goals. And like you said, when you set your goals and set your mind to something, the only thing that's really going to stop you is you yourself.
Oh, right?
Yeah. Like that's 100%. What it really comes down to. When we don't achieve things, it's because we didn't do it. I mean, like 99%.
You didn't want it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, because like me, I look at potatoes and I look at me losing weight. Potatoes winning right now every time.
Well, and like there, Dustin's making a little fun, but then again, like what's one of the reasons Dustin's so good and wins so many races and, we call him 43X now? Well, it's because he puts in the damn work. Like he's, while I'm looking at my bike in the background of, podcasts and stuff, he's been working on his stuff for 2 hours and he has not a doubt in his mind that's going to run great. Like there, if you're not willing to put in the work, then, everybody likes to look from the outside in. And
yeah, it's a life lesson in general, for sure.
Yeah. So I just wanted to stop you there, Mark, because I mean, like, I didn't want that to go when something important comes in, on the show, we try and stop. And that's super important to everybody. A little inspiration, like that's a prime example. Set your goals and stay after them. Anything.
Richard Gatson told me that one time. He was like, if Dustin ever got small enough to run these classes, we'd all be in trouble. I'm like, I don't know about that. I'm the type of person that if I can't win, I ain't going to do it. So I would really have to be dedicated, mentally to want it, to do it. But I do want to ride one day.
Hey, all you got to do is get, on the same program that Mark had the stickers made up. You just can't have the waffles.
Yeah.
Waffles, baby.
Yeah.
You lose that weight real quick.
Yeah, I'd probably lose a lot more things too. Exactly. Motorcycles ain't shit when you go to that.
Oh man. All right, so sorry to get us all distracted, but
so basically you had an amazing Pro Street season. And then you go to the final shebang.
So let's just lead up to XDA finals.
Mm-hmm.
We had all these goals. We met them. We had been in the finals already. Darian Payne drilled me on the tree. Dude, let me just tell you something about Darian Payne. That dude, straight up, legit, cool ass motherfucker.
Oh, yeah. He's a cool guy, man.
I'm telling you, he was one of the first guys to come over to me. I beat him in Virginia, and he didn't think he needed the override button when he raced me.
Yeah.
And I was my first 40 pass was against him. He went a 51. I went like a 47. I beat him. He came over the trailer, and he said, "Dude, I'm just telling you what you're doing. I think is unbelievable. You're riding great. You're doing a great job." He said, "I just want to tell you, man, I think you're doing what you need to be doing, and you're doing a damn good job of doing it."
And that's so good for your soul, ain't it?
Floored. Oh yeah, dude, I was floored.
Yeah.
I was like, "Thank you so much," because you know what it's like in racing. You got some
it's a
people
freaking
that are
roller
filthy and
coaster
some people
ride.
that cold shoulder your ass,
Oh,
But
yeah.
but it was so cool to actually. I've watched his career blossom from as far back as I can remember, and he has been a true friend in the sport to me as a racer. He really, each time we race, we have good words to say to each other.
He's a good person.
Cutthroat shit. You know what I mean? It's
He
good
has
stuff.
a good time,
And he
too.
makes me, I told him in the final, when we raced in the finals, I said, "Man, this is good stuff right here, man. It's a pleasure to be able to race you in the finals." And he drilled me on the tree. I had a better freaking light than he did, or a better freaking ET than he did, but I just wasn't good on the tree. I was late on the tree. He did his job. He did his professional job like he should, and he won like the guy that I knew he was. And he was super humble at the end of the track. And when I went over to talk to him, I said, "Dude, if anybody deserved this win this weekend, it was you. 100% you. You deserved it." And when we raced together in XDA or
World Cup.
The name of the series we just raced.
World Cup. Yeah.
When we raced World Cup together, he said the same thing I said. "Man, I wish this was the finals. I really wish it was the finals." Yeah. But it's a pleasure to get to race against you, man. And ditto feelings for both of us, and it's so awesome to be there. But to lead up to that point, Jordan Haas in the finals of XDA last race, we were running good. We weren't on the override button. I had this fear that the air was too good, and if I ever touched the override button, it was going to explode the motor. So I was like, we went a 39 without even touching the override. I was like, man, this bitch is going to fly in the World Cup series, man. It's going to fly. Yeah. So we went out there and did our job good. I was not stupid on the tree. I didn't try to red light. I didn't try to be too late. I was good on the tree. We won against Jordan. That was our first win, and it was an emotional win for me. I was extremely excited about it, but there was a part of me that was hurt because Jason had his issue with his bike. He had basically what he had was a fuel pump coming apart, and his fuel pump, the inside of it was sending shrapnel into the freaking fuel injectors, clogging them up, and he was tearing motors up each pass. So I felt really bad that he didn't get to, experience, a good end of the season race there, but they got that figured out and got him all repaired for the World Cup race. Now we're coming into the World Cup race, and I told Chris, this is what I told Chris. I said, "Man, that bike runs so smooth, so straight. I barely have to correct it now. I mean, it's like a freaking Cadillac." I said, "I'm going to win World Cup. I'm going to win World Cup. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to win World Cup." And he said, this is exactly what Chris said. He says, "I have no doubt you will win. You will win World Cup."
Wow, I hope y'all can see me winning some shit.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Walking the World Cup, dude, I had this just confidence.
Yeah.
Walking in, and then the first two passes kicked me in the nuts, dude. It was like it wheelied, I had to bring it back down, and I was like, my confidence got kicked in the nuts, and my shoulders are down, my head's low. I went at 665. I'm qualified number 5, and I'm looking at Chris going, "What the fuck happened?"
That's that humble pie, man.
Going so good.
Yeah.
And it was like, we're racing in 1,500 feet of air in the finals, and then we turn around to the World Cup and it's, negative 700 feet of air. Yeah. We're making so much more horsepower. And Andy's doing his best at trying to calm it down to get us down the track. So when we went up against Rodney in Q3, I was like, man, I'm just going to act like this is the race. This is the finals race, and I'm going to run this bitch like it's never been run before. I
stay in front of Rodney.
I never saw Rodney the whole way, and we went at 6:36 at 233 miles an hour. I knew we were fast, but I didn't know we were that fast.
Well, if you're in front of Rodney, you're going fast because he's fast.
I'm telling you, because that's the dude that everybody tries to, if you're ahead of Rodney, you're doing your job the best ability you can.
Exactly.
I got down the end of the track, and Steve Smalls gets down to the end, and he goes, "Dude, you just went 6:36." And I calmly said, "Oh, really? Cool." And inside, I was like, but on the outside, I was like, "Oh, cool." I was trying not to be this guy rubbing it into everybody's face because, dude, I was seriously excited.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit. Dude, we just went 36. It's unbelievable that we have made this much of a stride in less than a year.
Yeah.
And we get back to the, pits and freaking Demi and Andy are all pumped, and hell, the whole place is pumped. And it's just like, oh man, we got, 2 more rounds. Imagine we take our best first half and put it with that back half. It was a 6:34.
Yeah.
Then we go up and we have a wheel speed sensor issue, and it tells the traction control to come on. It thinks it's running 54 miles an hour while I'm on the 2-step.
Oh.
So it does this bog, and then it goes and takes off. We didn't know that was a problem. The Q4, we didn't know that was a problem, but it went to take off, and I was racing RJ, and RJ was beside me, and I was like, I'm hitting the button, as quick as I can. So I hit the override button, and I'm screaming down the track, and we went a 6:39 on that pass. Huh. And that back half was a 2.075. Dude, the fastest
scramble eggs.
Ridiculous.
The fastest Pro Street back half is 209, a high 209.
Wow.
So I take that front half, put it with my best, or take that back half, put it with my best front half. It's a 632. I'm like, holy crap, the perfect storm is coming.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So, we run that night. He done
calling 20s out in his head.
Yeah. We run that night, and it was like, I was thinking we got good air, and that was the power wheelie in the middle of the track. That baby came up, and I was like, ooh, I can ride it. And she keeps going, and then it kept going higher and higher, and I go, I think it's too high. Get off it.
Yeah.
But that was that was such a cool moment. That power wheelie was such a cool moment. I mean, it was just like, in my mind, it was like I was watching myself from the stands. And I could feel like, oh, yeah, baby, that looks badass. I'm dragging that wheelie down, And then you look at it on tape, and it's like, well, you're up for a half a second,
Yeah. That leads back to the slow motion thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So then, we come into to eliminations on Sunday, and I was nervous. And I usually don't get nervous, but I was nervous. And we had Jordan Haas first round, and I was like, don't wheelie, do your best, throttle control it the best you can. And Jordan had that problem on the line, which screwed him up on the tree. He could hear his turbo. He heard something rattling. So it screwed him up, and he was a 10th. He was a 10th behind me. Well, I came up mid-track, and I was riding it so far out that I had to chop the throttle, and it bounced the bike down real hard. When it did that, I had to wait a second to get on the throttle again because it would have popped the wheelie right back up. So I went a 655 to his 653, and thank God he had a 1.5 tree. So
You
it
had a
or a
lucky round.
0.15
Gotta
tree.
have them lucky
Yeah, I had a
rounds.
lucky dude. I'll take luck over freaking any day,
Yeah.
Oh, for
any
sure.
day.
For sure. Yeah. Sometimes the good Lord's got to handle
So
it
then we
for
had
us.
Darren. Yeah. So then we had Darian the next pass, and I was actually nervous that pass too. And I was like, don't red light, get up there. You know he's going to cut a good tree. Just do your job, do it well. He had lane choice over me because he went up 48 and we had the 55 because I had chopped the throttle. And that was the best thing that ever happened to me was changing lanes. That right lane held. And I didn't touch the override button and we went 640 with a 5 and never touched the override. And Darian spun. He cut a 005 on me. He did his job, but it made it about 10 feet and it spun. So, you know, rewind just a little bit. Jason Dunnigan had his work cut out for him. He had to race Rodney first
That was a
round.
big round. That was a big
Dude,
round.
that was a huge round.
So I
Then
had
he
a
had this.
friend that wanted to bet on the ladder with me, and of course, I roll with DME. That's how I am, And
Yeah.
he picked Rodney, and I'm like, man, this might be the time that Rodney might lose. And I love Rodney to death, but Rodney had a rough qualifying session or two there.
Oh, yeah.
So he wasn't
Yeah.
really Rodney all the way ready to go. And I was like, this
I
is,
think it's because his marshmallows were toasted.
yeah, dude, best interview ever was
shit.
that. Like, he thought he was going to burn his marshmallows.
Oh man. Yep.
But going into that deal, he cut an 11 tree on Rodney. He did his job all the way down the track. Won against Rodney. That was a huge confidence booster for him going into the next round against Shaker. And you talk about a tight race with
That was
Shaker.
an amazing race.
Yeah.
Dude, 40 to 41. I mean,
Yeah.
dude, that was just a hell of a race.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a race.
Yeah.
And,
I was
he had his
talking to
work
you
cut out
and
for him.
Jason between rounds. I'd send you guys videos and stuff.
Yeah. Eight thousandths of a second at 230 miles an hour.
It's crazy.
Yes. That
That's
was just
ridiculous.
a fantastic race in close, and he did an amazing job. And when we were looking at that, it was like he had lane choice over me, and I was like, you know what, the right lane stuck, so I'm happy with it. Well, I think we waited 3 hours for the finals.
Yeah. There was a lot of oil downs.
Yeah, it felt like forever. And I'm sitting there, and I've got a plan in my head. I knew what I was going to do. I wasn't going to try to cut a 00 tree. I was just going to try to stay. I had cut a 30 against Darian, and I was like, I know a 30 is going to be good because if I'm on the button, the bike's going to go, 37 somewhere around there, and it's going to be a hell of a race between Jason and I.
Yeah.
So I had my plan already, and I wasn't changing from it. I wasn't changing from it at all. I felt confident about what I was going to do. And as we got we were rolling up, Jason looked over at me and he said, well, I want to say this though. We're at the end of the track. He had just beaten Justin. I hate backing up, but this is funnier than shit. He had just beat Justin. I just beat Darian. We were both going. DME was in the final round together, and I was clapping for him. He come around to me. I clapped him, grabbed him on his shoulder, and I looked at him. I said, "We made Daddy happy, didn't we?"
Oh shit. That's good.
Demi was smiling ear to ear, man. It was a good day for him. And as we rolled up, he said, "Man, no matter what happens, DME's in the finals, and a DME bike will win."
That's awesome.
And I said, "You got it, brother. You got it."
That's the way I was fired up too from home.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know. It felt like an eternity. We're sitting there. John Odom was beside us. He had some little cute little girl dressing him, zipping him all up and putting all his headgear on. And he looked over at us and he goes, "Now you guys are crazy."
If that ain't the
So
truth.
we roll up, and it's like totally no nerves, no nothing. It was like, I don't know how to explain it.
It's like when me and Dustin race.
If you
ain't got to explain it to us, but we know.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. Like when you get on that motorcycle, it's business. You know what I mean? It changes. You're nervous before, but when you get on it, it's gone.
It was total focus. It was total focus. And it was like a clarity at that moment in time. And if you watch me in that video, when I roll up and I squat down and I'm waiting for Andy to come over, I do not move one single millimeter. I am stuck down on the bike. My feet are out, my hands on the throttles. I knew if I moved at that point in time, I could upset the bike in any which way. And he hadn't patted me on my back. I wait for those pats on my back. That lets me know I'm straight and everything's good to go.
Yep.
So I just stayed in that position, which felt like an eternity. But all of a sudden the bike jiggles and it's Andy jamming her back down into first gear, right? And I'm like, okay, all right, I know I'm straight. I'm good. So he pats me on the back. I'm like, all right, two-step it, get up there. I roll in, and it's like there was no tree games. There was no bullshit. It was like bam, bam for second bulb, and the light come down, and I left not knowing he red lit. I had no idea he red lit, and I don't know if he knew he red lit either, because we're both out, and by the time I got to the 60-foot cone, I did not see him, and that's just, I don't have the side of my helmet tape, so I can see out of my peripheral pretty good. I didn't see anything, and then the front end started coming up. And as it came up about 8th mile, then my vision got to a point where I could see the scoreboard. When I saw the scoreboard, I saw the red light on top of the scoreboard. And I was like, that motherfucker red lit. God damn, are you kidding me? And then it was like, oh my God, I just won. Holy crap, I just won. So I set the front end down and rolled her out. And I crossed the finish line. And in the video, if you see my head bouncing down, as we're crossing the finish line and going down the track 3 or 4 times, that's me saying "fuck yeah" in my helmet. I'm just screaming, "Fuck yeah!"
I called this shit,
dude. It was a moment that was like, God dang, it all came together the way I wanted it to,
in a picture perfect way, because you were sitting beside your teammate, and it was. I mean, my honest opinion is, well, you know, I told you a friend of mine and me was betting on the ladder each round. When y'all got to the final, I told him to pick. I said, if you want my honest opinion, I said, I think Jason might win on a hole shot. And that's what I thought. And he goes, I'll take Jason. And then he goes red. I'm like, all right, you can pay me. Because I didn't care. Because in my opinion, I think that we won. A DME won. So in my mind, it's like we won. You know what I mean?
It was a great team win. Yep. And those guys, I wouldn't be here without those guys. And, you know, Chris working on the bike flawlessly, every pass, giving me confidence. Andy with just smooth tuning. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. When I rolled around and I got to that little light was on where the dude does the interview with you.
Yeah.
I was happy. Don't get me wrong. I was happy. There wasn't any kind of crying emotion at the moment. But when he said, where does this top? It's like, holy shit, I just won the World Cup. And it was like all of the emotion of happiness caught
tears
up
of joy.
And it was 100% tears of joy, man. It was like there was no way I was going to be able to get through that without, you know, choking up, because it was a huge moment of my entire racing career that just fell forward to the best moment of any race I've ever had.
Ben seen me cry once. I won a race.
Yeah, but I won like the culmination of everything, and you know having to battle some health issues, and then jumping on something that
completely different.
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, now we have your whole background now, right?
There was a whole lot of doubt.
Well, I mean, just the whole background, like, okay, yeah, you were on street bikes and no bar bikes for a long time, but then there was also a long time where you weren't. And
a very long time.
That's
and he has these astronomical goals that he set, and then damn, if he didn't just go out and knock them out of the park, you know what I mean? Every one of them, and that's just that's outstanding.
Yeah, for sure.
Guys, I can't wait for next year.
That was my next question. It was like, are you going to be back on it next year?
Yep. I damn
Awesome.
sure
I'd
am.
retire. I mean,
Hell
I'm just
no.
saying, look.
Could
the
you imagine his
and the
goals for
set-
next year?
No,
Holy
no,
shit.
that's exactly what I'm saying. Do not tell us because nobody's gonna believe you.
No.
Yeah, I'll keep them to myself. So
Holy shit.
He's going to tell
everybody can
Dilly his
just see
goals,
it
and he'll be like, "Well, last
happen.
time I told him it wasn't going to happen. Fuck."
Yeah. Wow. Like seriously, that's man, wow. Yeah, just like the year. What all right, so a couple things. One, what is the deal with were you guys like, and it wasn't just you two, like you said, Darian, all what the hell is up with Pro Street now where and maybe I'm just wrong and maybe I'm just paying more attention now, but I look through the results like this year and it's like y'all mofos are cutthroat, like laying down reaction times that like Dustin and I strive to have.
It's
And
getting
like, I
more
don't understand
serious.
it. Like what
It
what
is.
did y'all like start eating your Wheaties or did y'all start betting on the side on reaction time? Because I ain't never seen that many double O lights in Pro Street.
I think they're finally the class is so even that the reaction time matters more now than it used to. That's what I think.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Most
wondering
definitely.
too, Mark, are you and Jason doing like $1,000 side bets? Because I'm looking at results and I see a round where y'all didn't race each other, but you both won and he's 004 and you're 003. Like I'm like, what
Yeah.
the hell?
So that was that was Virginia race, and that was
Yeah,
super funny. He got his ticket before I got it. Before I looked at mine, he got his ticket, and he looks at me and he goes, "We were getting ready to race each other in the next round." And he looked at me and goes, 004, bitch. And I grabbed my ticket and I go, 003, bitch. And he goes, "You're a liar. Shut up, you're a liar." So he gets towed up before me to the scales, right? So he's at the scales. Aaron, I had just raced Brandon Litton, and Aaron had the ticket. And he goes, "That motherfucker cut a 003." And Jason goes, "He wasn't lying." So the next round after that, both of us, I was going to drill a killer tree, but we both stayed. And Jason did his job phenomenal. But where I was at, I couldn't see his second bulb light.
Oh, the Virginia, that track, the sunset will kill you. Yep.
And as soon as he left, I thought, damn, he red lit. And then I left and I saw my wind light wasn't on. And I go, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And it was like a 2:51. It was a horrible reaction time. Dude, I beat myself up so bad over that race for doing that. I was like, and it was just a weird thing that happened.
The sunset's there, dude. The sunset's behind the tree and you can't see it.
It was just a weird deal. It was actually, Dustin, it was actually 10:30 at night when we ran.
Oh, really? Wow. Wow.
Yeah. And when
I can't help you out
the
there.
race we didn't finish.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't finish it. Y'all did.
Yeah, no, they had to race Rodney in Maryland the second round of qualifying or something. The next
Sorry,
race.
That was the bitter sportsman racer coming out where like the rest of our class didn't want to finish it, so we had to fucking split and quit. And, screwed points up. And, I'm not mad.
So Ben, when he was talking about him and Jason, their lights talking shit to each other. That sounds just like me and you.
Yeah.
Like it sounds just like how me and Ben are. We'll come back, be like pumped our chest out, and then homeboy beside you done wrecked you and done better than you did. Yeah. We do that all the time.
And then because you're right, go ahead. Sorry.
We're so competitive, and your teammates are your biggest competitors, in my opinion, because we know everything about each other.
That's what I was going to say, because the very next round, Jason matched your stuff, Mark, 003.
Oh, yeah, he did. He damn sure did. He cut 003. He did his job extremely well that night, and I was super happy for him, but I was so disappointed in myself at that point in time.
Right, yeah.
Until I went back. There was 5 weeks I had to basically suffer over this thing.
Well, we're our toughest critics, right? We are. We beat ourselves. I'm beating myself up over a race a few months ago, still to this day.
But my mom, she saw JT's video, and she said, "Well, I never saw his light come on." So then I looked at JT's video, and from his angle, which is pretty much right on the other side of me, you can't see Jason's light come on. Really? It came on because Brandy was filming it from the stands. Yeah, 100% came on. It was just at an angle where I was at. I was so far out on the outside of the track groove that it was just out of sight.
The center of the tree was blocking it. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to be placed way out to get good traction for the Pro Street class. And it was just a bad situation. And I got over it, and there was no big deal. And Jason got mad at him. I wasn't mad at him. I was mad at myself, man. I was just upset at myself.
Well, yeah, I mean, it happens.
We're tough on each other. Really comes down to being tough on ourselves. All right. Well, like we said, we're not going to get into your goals for next year because, we got to keep those a secret at this point after hearing this. But let's do a quick recap. So, rookie year of Pro Street, you met all your personal goals, correct?
Yes, every one of them.
Yeah. So you met all your personal goals, which we now know were extremely high, like shooting for the moon goals. So that's amazing. You finished the year 4th on the GOAT list. And only 7 have even went with a number that starts with a 6.3. So you're 4th all time on the GOAT list. You finished 2nd in XDA Pro Street points, and you and I actually had a conversation, slight miscalculation on one of your races, right? So like you wouldn't have changed position wise, but you would have been close.
So they counted us out in Virginia in the quarters, and we went to the semis because we raced Rodney in the semifinals for the first Virginia race, and it was showing I went out the round before. So literally, Jordan Haas had the points right at 8 points. I was 8 points away from the championship. So if you rewind that back to the very first race when I raced Jordan in the semifinals for the very first race, we had the clutch was so sensitive, dude. I just barely let out on the clutch just to lighten my hand up. That sucker would leave. It would leave.
Yeah, the clutch switch was disengaging probably.
My grip, I had thick. We left the grips on it that Jeremy Teasley had, and they were thick grips. So Denny figured it out. And so the next race, he's like, we made one lap, and it did it again in Virginia. And he's like, dude, you had 5 weeks to not do that. And I was like, I don't know what the it is. I didn't do it. And then Denny looked, and he goes, oh, dude, you got the thick grips. So he took the thick grips off and put the thin grips on. Never happened again.
I need to get me some thin grips.
If we rewound that race and we beat Jordan and the points were correct, we could have won the championship.
Well, I mean, so what? It was like a 20 point differential, right? Where it was just off. Like it didn't actually affect your standing because you were finishing second anyways. Right. But it would have added 20 points, right? And then you said it would have been what? It would have been 8 points away from the championship.
8 points away from the championship.
I'll tell you right now,
20 points for beating Jordan in the first race.
I know what a goal of 2024 is, and you ain't even got to say it.
Yeah. Well.
Yep.
He was too damn close this time not to want it next time.
Man, oh man. Wow. So
but trust me, DME is going to be so freaking on top of their game next year. Not only our racers, but Andy and Demi and everybody are going to be we're going to have some new rules implemented on us. I promise you that.
Yeah.
We're going to start. I see consistency in the 630 range. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited to see, Jason, he's put a lot of work in for many years and then finally, getting some success that I think he deserves. Yes. And I'm ecstatic to see a XDA weekend that you can go into, and you really can't bet on the winner because there's a lot of contenders, right? I mean, we all know Rodney is fast. Like we know Rodney. Sometimes I think that Rodney might be just pocketing some ET, just not using it all. But he's got to know when he can use it, and that becomes down to the tuner. And sometimes the track just can't handle whatever you can throw at it. The track can be the decision maker. And, this year I feel like, I think me and Ben's had this conversation a few times. I think during COVID, the mixture or whatever, the chemicals and prep has changed and the track ain't the same as it used to be. And it's nothing against Jason or anybody that preps the track. It's just, I think the chemical is not the same, and they're going to have to relearn it. You know what I mean? And so that right there alone tightened the class up to where pretty much anybody can win. Anybody that qualifies can pretty much have a chance. And I love the shit out of that.
you look at Shaker at the end of the year, he got his mojo back, 39,
Yeah.
39 in qualifying. And so, he's a top contender. RJ just went a
Right.
51.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's everybody ran their personal best, coming up to the end of the year. The top 10 guys all ran personal bests. And it's you just see it coming. Those
The
guys
class is growing
are
together.
start tightening their program up.
Yeah.
The class is growing, and it's going to be a good battle for
you
sure.
You just keep eating cake and ice cream, and you keep that weight right. Not unless the rules change.
Yeah. Well, and then you said, another big another big thing with the class on kind of keeping a level playing field is like no shit, y'all are hitting the tree so hard now. Red lights, obviously they are already happening, but that's going to play a game too when you come up and that old Darian's getting ready to unload 00. If you ain't got a clear advantage, we all know everybody's going to be hitting it. So I mean, Darian, Jason, y'all are laying the law down. Like I said, either I've never paid attention, but I feel like this as a whole, the reaction times have gotten crazy.
Oh, they have, because back in the day, if they was anything, they done a good job. And now, I mean, there's been times I've seen pro street guys that's fast go 0.12 on the tree and still get it done because they're fast. Now everybody's knocking it down, and I mean, a 30 or a 40 is seeming like an average, which is fucking awesome because that's what drag racing's about. Not about who's the fastest. Sometimes it needs to be who's the best racer. You know what I mean? It needs to be both. And I think it makes it more interesting because when you hear Fabian, scream, "Oh, he treat him," well, that matters now. You know what I mean? It's a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
So it's cool to see, and I'm glad to see the class being interesting instead of just seeing someone just kick everybody's teeth in. So it's awesome. It proves that anybody can do it. I mean, I guess not anybody, because you have a lot of experience of racing and riding motorcycles, so you come in and made things happen. But it proves that if you want it, you can do it. It's very cool to see.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you want it?
I got one more question for you that we never really addressed because you just made it look so damn easy. What would you say was your biggest adjustment from, coming from so many years of not only wheelie bar bikes, but just going fast on big tire stuff, and then to come over and throw your leg over no bars? I mean, what if you could just narrow it down to one, or I mean, if it's two things, whatever.
One habit you couldn't kick.
Yeah. Body position is the hardest.
I knew you was going to say that.
I'm still not tucked. I mean, you look at my head; it's still above the windshield. I mean, I'm 52 years old, and I believe I'm the oldest guy in Pro Street right now. I beat Rodney out by a little bit.
Something I've noticed about you is even on your bar bike, you would pre-stage, stage, and then lay down. And that's something you can't necessarily do on a pro street bike. You got to be laid down. I know it. And I watch you and I'm like, how does he fucking do that?
I like that. It's signature now to me.
It is. It's his signature. But at first I'm like, that's going to just make you dead late on the tree, but obviously not, because it works for you. I've watched you do that on your bar bikes. I'm like, man, he's literally smashing himself down, then the tree activates and he's gone. And I'm like, I'm the type that wants to be set up before I even stage, and I'm like, and then I watch you at World Cup. I'm like, fuck, he still does it. He still ain't stopped doing it. I'm like, that's your thing. That's just you.
Yeah. That's the way I race. Randy told me, he goes, you're just screwing yourself up. You do that. And I go, well, I'm just used to it. And Andy goes, well, if it works for him, let him do it. And it's working.
Everybody can just sit down and shut the fuck up because it works.
We're going to see more people doing that next year.
It's body position for me, and trying to drag your feet, man.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, 40 years of me putting my feet on the pegs automatically and then having to keep them down for, 60 feet or, some guys do it 300 feet. Yeah. I cannot lift after dude, if I pass a 60-foot cone, my right leg will not come up. I can't get my right leg up. I don't, there's the strength's not there. There's G forces.
I'm about to say that thing's pulling probably over 3 Gs. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pulling hard, and trying to pull my leg forward and get it up on the peg, it's not happening. So I've figured out that 60 is really good for me, and Andy's got it figured out on how he wants the bike to do with me dragging my feet only to the 60-foot mark. Yeah. So, that's a tuner's game too, to help me along and figure it
Handy
out.
Andy.
Andy is one smart cookie, man.
Man, he is.
The people out there that don't know him, that dude has so much knowledge in that bald noggin of his. It's unbelievable.
I talk to the DME girls like every day, and I always tell them that we should clone Andy. We need a lot more Andys because a lot of people don't know, but he is a big, huge part of DME. Like they don't realize it. Like he is, he's like the brains of the operation. He's amazing.
He's got. If you ever watch him, he's pulled so many different directions.
Oh my God.
Not only at a race, but even at work. I mean, I've been up there while he's working, and there's the phone's ringing. Here's somebody else asking this about this machine and this machine. And dude, it's like he's a fucking robot. He's do this. And he's on to the next thing, and he's on to the next thing.
Yes.
And it's smooth flowing. He's the same way at the track. He's in 15 different modes, and I come in and ask him a question. He answers my question, dude, and he gets right back on the ball. He is. Dude, I can't do that. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
He's a multitasking dude. Like I can't look at a tune on my bike and talk to somebody. I'll put the laptop down, and then he'll like tune and talk. I'm like, how, and he's just a big part of it. Him and Demi has created a industry leading business, and it's amazing what they do. Really,
yeah, for sure.
It's top notch. It's a joint effort that those two were meant to be together.
Yeah,
they're like brothers.
Yeah,
for sure.
Just man, 100%.
For sure. Well, look, we're gonna wind this down. We appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight, Mark. There is one last thing I'm gonna do that we haven't done yet. We're going to let you pick, we do some giveaways and stuff. So we're going to let you pick a $50 gift certificate winner night. And we're going to make it easy because, a lot of times we'll do like the random wheels and stuff. All you got to do is pick a number between 3 and 92.
77, baby.
77. Oh, you picked a repeat. That's Mr. Michael Schmalley. Congratulations.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome.
He's been a big supporter. All right, cool. We got that. All right, so we'll probably never see a rookie year in Pro Street like that again. So congratulations on a record-setting year. I don't really think there's a whole lot more that we can say.
No, man, I'm almost speechless for somebody to have goals like that and then break them. That's awesome.
The only other thing I do want to say is, man, when people listen to this, I mean, y'all, come on, like the enthusiasm that Mark has. I mean, like this is awesome. Like I'm amped up right now. Like I'm super stoked.
This is the way racing should be.
Yeah, exactly. Like the amount of excitement, like you can tell and just listen. I mean, like obviously you're coming off a huge high, but still, dude, like, I mean, yeah, you've been on a high all year. I mean, after everything you went through and whatnot, and just like, wow, like amazing, man, amazing.
Makes me want to try a new class because I've lost all that excitement. I need to find me some of that.
Exactly. Yeah. Look, we'll get you back on some other time because we know you have a lot of stories, and we didn't even touch on that. We just had to talk about some Pro Street rookie this year that decided to try and mop everybody up. So we'll get you back on for story time one time because I know you got plenty.
Yeah. Just Big Carl and the biscuit story. That's the story everybody needs to hear.
Okay.
All right.
We'll save that one. Well, once again, Mark, thank you again for joining us. Anybody you want to shout out real quick or anything?
Yeah. Thank you to my mom and dad for supporting me all these years and believing in me. My wife for allowing me to do this. It's a lot of time away from home and a lot of money too. And she wants me to be happy. She knows that this allows me to fulfill my dreams and be happy. So really appreciative of that. Chris Wedden, my best friend, his family, those guys are phenomenal. They are family to me. And I'm so lucky that I get to do this with my best friend.
Yeah.
DME boys, those just, what more can you say? I am living proof that DME is badass, man. No doubt I'm living proof. So it was a total honor to be on the show with you guys. A privilege to be on the show with you guys. I was excited when you told me, Ben, that you wanted me on the show. I was like, "Fuck yeah!" Can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, it's awesome, man.
Well,
That's what it's about.
Everybody's going to enjoy this one, getting to hear, more of your backstory and just, really, chronicling the year. Cause we appreciate you even listening to some of the shows, but, just, we've shouted you out and it's like, man, this is impressive. Like, in case y'all aren't paying attention, Mark's being impressive.
We also learned he has an outstanding memory.
Yeah, exactly.
Outstanding memory.
That was a little test there. I called out that reaction time, and you called the race. And
I can't remember what I done yesterday.
Darnell himself has ruined my memory. So but yeah, once again, thank you so much for joining us, and we can't wait to be back at the track again with you next season. I reckon it'll probably be. So we look forward to it, and I guess you got a couple goals to write down on your notepad and hide them under your pillow, and I'll be scared to find out what those are in a couple months.
Yeah, you're awesome, man. We appreciate you being on the show.
It was a pleasure, guys. Y'all have a good night.
All right,
Thanks,
buddy.
Mark.
See ya.
All right, take care.